Are you ready?
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Tool to Play presents Still Got Game with Derek D. Smooth Nolan and Joel Dude I Rock Albert.
By Think Geek and the Craft Beer Club. Hey now, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Still Got Game, episode 346. Still Got Game's official podcast of tooltoplay.com. I am, as always, Derek D. Smooth Nolan.
And I am Joel Dude I Rock Albert.
And we have Tiffany Electrify Nolan producing tonight in Hitman's absence. So if it looks good, let her know. If it looks bad, blame her.
Don't let her know.
Yeah, actually probably keep it to yourself. Just pretend.
That's the way to do it. Yeah.
So it's been a few weeks since we had a show, Jay.
I know. I was just making a comment that no one knows the show exists anymore at this point.
I know. We gotta get this shit back together.
It's tough, man.
So I assume we're not gonna have a problem, obviously, tonight. Next week we're gonna be fine. And then that puts us into the 17th, 24th. That one's probably fine, but I assume we're not doing a show on Halloween.
That's probably true. Yeah. I don't think that we are going to, but
so
no. Yeah, no.
So
I'm just going to say no.
Yeah. So you're going to get 3 in a row here. We're going to be off for Halloween, and then we'll be back full bore until the next holiday thing.
Until Thanksgiving, basically.
Yeah. We had some unavoidable delays. I did some college visits. I did last week. I was out seeing my buddy, Mr. GBMS. We rode some lots of roller coasters at Cedar Point. We fit 38 coasters in a day. That is
damn.
A new record.
So 38 in a day, that's, I mean, obviously there's only a certain amount of coasters. Is that 38 unique coasters?
No. So that's all of the coasters. And then like the 2 newest ones, Valvaran, which is the drop coaster, and what the fuck's the other one? The wing coaster from last year. We rode each of those 5 times. We rode Top Thrill Dragster 5 times. So
I'm very interested in this because it's a strange thing that you enjoy, but not strange, but it's odd for a grown man. So I will ask, like, is there a pass that you have to get that allows you to? Are you just going to the park at a time where there's not a lot of people around?
No. So we pay a premium for the Fast Lane Plus passes.
Okay.
So
is that a one-time purchase? Like you buy a premium package for that day?
For that day, yes. You pre-buy it for a day. They do sell out of them, so you got to buy it in advance. So we bought those back in June, and I think it was $150 a person in addition to what you've paid for the park at that point. But you go up the super special line. That for the day we went, it was almost always we walked right on, or we waited till the next car came in and then we got on. So it was good. It was a lot of walking when you ride that many cars.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. I mean, I'm assuming you're in the park all day, right?
We got there an hour before it opened because we were staying when the park closed. We were staying at a hotel there, so you get to go in an hour early, and we stayed all the way till midnight when it closed. And so 10 a.m. to midnight. We walked 20.38 miles.
That's a lot, dude. That's a long day.
I know.
That's more than a day. In fact, that's a lot.
You gotta cost average your money. Like
I would say you definitely, it may seem like a lot of money to buy a ticket to go to an amusement park, especially for VIP, but I would say you killed it in terms of value per hour. That is quite cheap in terms of entertainment.
Before we started doing these the passes, we would fit maybe 7 roller coasters in the day was our top. So if you look at it that way, we did 5+ days of roller coasters in one day.
Yeah, no, definitely. And especially when like half the time that you're spending there is in a line, it's not nearly as, you get your like 5 minutes of fun and then your 30 minutes of wait. It's not, doesn't line up for me.
Yeah. Normally a couple of the rides we rode, there were 2.5 hour waits for them.
Wow.
So, yeah.
2.5 hours? Jeez.
Yep. So the new coasters. Yeah.
Very cool.
Good times, but we are back, and my legs are recovered, and we're doing a show tonight. So I guess on that, why don't we just hop in the show proper? We'll start off with feedback from last week's show, which was some number of weeks ago. Remember, if you want to leave us a voicemail, it will cut you off after a minute. Punk Nugget comments. I loved last week's episode where Electrify filled in for Duty Rock. After listening to the stuff after the show and how she didn't want to do it, even better on her. Kudos to you. Is that an expression? Even better on her? Is that like?
Better on you, better on her. I guess so.
So sure. Yeah. So in the after show, Tiff was commenting how she didn't really She wasn't a big fan of taking up the reins last week. But
why is that? What was the reason?
I think her reasoning was that you and I can pontificate on something indefinitely. Like if we only had one story, we could do a full hour on it.
I could do a day on one thing. Yes. I really could. Yeah, it's possible.
But I think she feels under a little pressure when it's just her and I, and then I say something, and then I'm expecting her to talk, and then she doesn't have the same innate ability to ramble on endlessly.
Yeah, spin yarn about anything that is possibly. I could talk about a Coke can for 6 weeks if given the time. Yeah, no, I understand. But apparently she did well. So
yeah, she manned up. She kicked ass, and like Punk Nugget said, kudos to Tiff. So, all right, Flake 17 comments. I just wanted to let you guys know how much I enjoy your podcast each week. Thanks for doing it for the gaming community. Welcome.
Sweet.
Yep. We enjoy doing the podcast too when we actually do it. So
yeah. It's one of those things where if we don't do it for a long period of time, it feels weird not having doing, and then we have to like get back into the swing. Things always are a little rusty, even after 2-3 weeks. I know it's weird. It's like you got to do it every week, really.
Yeah. You got to be
for
committed,
everyone's benefit.
You got to bust it out, and you got to be on time with it. So yes, we're going to try to do better. We've had some unavoidable issues between weddings and everything else, but now we're doing our best to have a show every time.
Yep.
All right. Last but not least, Nick Redorn comments. Can you guys please get back on a weekly schedule, please?
Yes? Question mark?
We do our best, Nick.
We do whatever we can, right?
Like you
it's
heard
not
right
a paying
now,
gig, but we try as hard as possible.
Our plan on record as of this moment is we are going to do shows the next 2 weeks, take Halloween off, and then we're going to be back on shows. So that is the plan, unless something goes tremendously awry.
This is true.
Yep. So we'll do our best. All right. Well, thank you for awesome feedback like these guys. Give us a call, 773-527-2961, or email us at podcast@tooltoplay.com. And in site-related news, obviously none of us are doing anything on the site right now. I log in there to post the show, and that's about all I have time to do. So I guess on that, why don't we jump on over into what we're playing? Joel Dude I Rock Albert, what multitude of things have you been playing this week?
I actually have been playing a multitude. I've Overwatch is still something I'm playing pretty frequently. I am now pretty much doing it every day, doing comp, trying to get higher ranking, stuff like that. Doing a little bit of Destiny. Obviously, the expansion's out, so we raid on Wednesdays, as well as, well, I think we're going to do Tuesdays, Wednesdays is what we're trying to pin down. So I've been doing that. A little bit of Iron Banner this weekend, a little bit of World of Warcraft, not really too much, just because I bought the expansion a year ago and felt like I should probably see why I bought it. It's okay. But other than that, that's pretty much it. I got the three main games, but I'd say Destiny overall is probably taking the majority of my time.
Nice.
Yep. What about you?
That's the bulk of my time. Destiny, since except for when I was away, but obviously Destiny, I'm back. Played a ton of Iron Banner this week. Enjoyed the shit out of that. I like the changes. I like having it be in the new kill confirm game type is a good one for Iron Banner. But enjoying the shit out of it. So, and then besides that, when I'm on my phone somewhere else, I'm still playing Pokemon Go.
So you're still
I'm that guy.
You're still that guy. Yeah, I was going to ask. Like, it's one of those games, obviously, that had a huge entrance into but then also a huge drop off. Yeah, I was going to say. So it's kind of, and also I will say, as the weather changes, it's going to be interesting to see how much Pokemon Go gets played as well. Now, if you're in your car and you're playing Pokemon Go, like a lot of people are anyway, it probably doesn't matter. But I definitely wonder what those numbers will look like once we get into the winter, season. And how that's going to play out. But
although there's also the Apple Watch app coming too, which is going to change it up for the upswing side. So I'll tell you, I'm looking forward to that. That's one of the big selling points. Not the big selling point. Why I picked up the new Apple Watch was to do the Pokemon Go's on it.
Have you got your Apple Watch yet or no?
Yeah, Tiff and I both have them. See,
I should have just went to the store. My ship date's like beginning of November or something.
Yeah.
Gonna wait a while.
We got our new phones, jet black. We got our new watches. Everything's cool.
Now, you went straight to the store to get that watch?
No, I ordered that same night at
I should have done that
at midnight. Well, 3 a.m. my time, midnight Pacific from Apple's site.
And when did you get the watch at? What, like recently?
They came 2 weeks ago, I think.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Man, that's quite a back order. Yeah, I think
Tiff's came on launch day, I think. Or Tiff's came either launch day or shortly thereafter. And then mine came a week after that. So
yeah, I'm definitely psyched to get that, actually. I'm kind of Is it good? Do you like it?
Oh,
it
is. I didn't have the first one because I was waiting for it to be water. Yeah. I love it. It's like I just looking down in it. Y'all always having all this information at your fingertips. It's doing all the step tracking. It's doing your exercise stuff. I wear it in the shower without fear that I'm going to break the Apple Watch.
I'd still be scared. Like I'm getting mine hopefully again at the end of October, but I'm not sure I'm going to be ready. Even though I totally can, it weirds me out taking that thing into the shower.
I wear it every day in the shower, and it's never even put itself in the. There's another mode, lockout mode.
Yeah,
it's never put itself in that, and I've forced it in that so that I could then try it, and I can't get it to do a little spit out the side when it ejects its water, but it's cool. I'm a big fan. Cool. Awesome. So yes, I replaced that Pebble Time steel whatever with it. And, super happy with it. So all right, well I guess on that, why don't we hop on over into the new releases? First new release out this week is a multi-platform release, and it's WWE 2K17. This is out for the Xbox One, the PS4, the 360, and the PS3. This is the 18th game in the WWE Wrestling series. The game's received all the usual graphics upgrades as well as gameplay enhancements. All the popular game modes that you knew from the past are all back. Plus now you can take the fight from the ring, and you can either take it backstage or into the crowd, and all those are playable areas that are all connected directly and seamlessly to your wrestling matches. It features over 150 characters from the past and the present. There's no early review scores out for this yet, but the past WWE games from 2K usually score in the mid-7s. I assume this will do the same. It's just a limited audience, especially among reviewers this isn't their kind of game, I think. It's a tough game to review. But this is one of those games that I would never buy. But if I was at someone's house and there was a whole bunch of people playing and they were taking turns, like someone's just jumping in and almost like a fighting game. Like sometimes you'll play fighting games you don't play. And just because everybody's playing it, I would love to play this at somebody's house, but I just don't own it.
It definitely wouldn't be a thing that I think either of us would buy. But I do agree. It's like, especially now that they have 150 playable characters, they got a lot of the old characters, the people
we actually know.
Yeah, we actually would know, which makes it fun. Like you're playing it out of nostalgia more than you are, that you're super stoked for the game. Which I think most people are playing it for that reason too. Even now, even the newer wrestlers, when someone buys this game, they're buying it to like be their favorite wrestler for a while. I don't know that it's breaking any rules of gaming and changing any genres or anything like that. But it's WWE. It comes out every year. It's another year, another WWE. Not really surprised, but yeah, I'm actually surprised. I guess what I am surprised about is I never felt like the limited amount of audience would be enough money to keep this franchise going. Clearly, that's not the case. I mean, I know there's way more WWE fans than I probably am aware of.
Well, they have their own pay network. That
right.
For,
like
yes.
it's great. It's crazy when you think about it. So obviously, there's enough to sell it, but it's really just those fans. I mean, it's like you have to be a nut for WWE, and you have to own an Xbox One, 360, PS4, PS3 in order to play. Those are two sort of limited areas, but. Yeah,
actually, what you're saying actually makes sense. That's probably why this is one of the few games now that's multi-platform. They're still putting it out for the last gen, and that's probably exactly why they're doing it, because they have to make sure they take that broad swath across their whole audience. Because
exactly,
all these WWE guys, it's either I can't afford a new console. I'm paying $200 this year for my WWE Network subscription.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah, I think that's probably true. I think a lot of people that play this game probably own an Xbox to play this game, or something similar. There's a little bit of crossover, I'm sure, but a fan is buying this game more than anybody else. So,
if I ever run into someone's house and they're playing it there, and I get a chance, I'll let you all know what I think. But I'm definitely not buying this.
Nope.
All right, next new release out this week is also a multi-platform release, and this is Duke Nukem 3D, the 20th Anniversary World Tour. And this is out of the Xbox One, the PS4, and the PC on Steam. This is the classic Duke Nukem 3D that we all loved 20 years ago. Hard to believe it's fucking 20 years ago. It makes everybody feel old. The game's been completely remastered and features new lighting effects and dialogue completely re-recorded by John St. John. It also features brand new 8-level episode 5, because the original game was episode 1, 2, 3, and 4, and they each had a bunch of levels in them. So this has eight levels in episode 5. This was done by the original level designers that did the original game. These are brand new. I'm pretty fucking pumped for this. I loved that Duke Nukem game. Had the great multiplayer where you could have the laser trip mines and all this other stuff. And nostalgia-wise, it was a great game. It's definitely better than the Duke Nukem Forever that we all got a few years ago. And this may be on my radar.
Really?
Just for nostalgia purposes.
I feel like it's on your radar, but you won't purchase it.
I know.
That's
a lot of times I put stuff on the radar and then it just beep, 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 beep.
Just goes right off the radar.
It goes right off the radar.
There's no commitment to the radar. Just it comes in, it goes out. It's, could be whatever.
Yeah.
But I understand. I understand why. I get that.
If this thing ends up, especially if this thing shows up on a sale on the Xbox Live Marketplace, that's when you buy this thing as an impulse buy thing. Because I can't really carve the time to play through it again now, but I would love to. And the fact that they redid all this stuff in it, they had actually. Speaking of John St. John, when I was out at Cedar Point, I checked in there on Swarm and on Facebook. The very first person to like my check-in and comment on it was John St. John, the voice of Duke Nukem. So I felt pretty cool about it.
Yeah, yes. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
There you go.
But yeah, I'm thinking of picking this up. But I don't know. You're probably right. You brought me back down.
It's not going to happen. Yeah, I mean, realistically, this would be on my radar as well, but I already know that the radar is false and that it is really just there for my own edification and it means nothing. But it's definitely a cool thing. It's going to be the guys that are super hard, like even more hardcore than I am. Those are going to be the guys that buy it, that have been waiting for Duke Nukem Forever. Not forever as in that shitty game. But yeah, no, I mean, it could be cool, but again, I'm not going to buy it. It's just not going to happen.
All right. Fair enough. All right. The next new release out this week is out for the Xbox One, and it is Gears of War 4. This is the long-awaited fourth entry in the popular third-person hider series, Gears of War, and it's the first one that's not developed by Epic Games. So that's the big takeaway here. The Coalition has taken over the reins, and they've kept true to the roots of the series. In addition to a few new weapons, a combat knife that's been introduced for melee attacks and executions, and there's also a shoulder charge now for knocking enemies off balance so that you can then follow on with some other kind of attack. I'll tell you, as much as I hate third-person hiders, the game looks fucking great. It's getting solid review scores in the high 8s. People that pre-ordered the Ultimate Edition or whatever, they've already been playing this now. So it's just coming out this obviously now for anyone that's just picking up the Standard Edition. But I'm pumped to see another game in the series. I like a good quality Xbox exclusive, and this is one, and it's one of the flagship ones. It's Halo and Gears are basically your flagship titles, and I guess Forza, but I think it looks fantastic.
Yeah, I mean the big thing with this Gears for me is that it's one of the newer cross-platform games. Yep. So it's a big it's one of those games where I almost want to buy it, even though I know I don't really care about it, just to support cross-platform and put money into that sort of idea, and let people know that it's something that gamers do want. If it was an actual game that I want to play that was cross-platform, that'd be even more amazing, like maybe Battlefield 1 or something like that. But still, it being one of the first, big cross-platform games is a huge deal just for the industry in general. So I always like to highlight it just because of how cool I think that is, and I'm hoping more developers, get on board with that are outside, obviously, of the Microsoft publishing realm. That'd be great to see some third parties, get hold of that. But yeah, the game looks amazing. I mean, it looks really quite good, especially being on Xbox
PC,
One, but on PC just looks sexy. I mean, It really looks sexy. So I might actually pick this up, and I dare to say that it is.
You're putting this on your radar?
Yeah, I am kind of putting it on my radar. It'll be one of those games that my thought is that once things get stale at Destiny, as they normally do, I always did enjoy the single-player campaign. I never was a huge fan of the multiplayer. I never liked the way that flowed as a multiplayer game. I really like to just run and gun and shoot shit, and it doesn't allow that. But as a single-player game, I always thought it had a really great campaign. Okay. And I'm not even a campaign guy, so that's really saying something. I always enjoyed the campaign. So I may pick it up just for that reason. We'll see.
Nice.
Yeah, it's definitely cool.
I played through the campaigns in the past years, and even though I hate the game, I hate it in multiplayer. I hate just that big, bulky, fucking walk around through big shoulder forward kind of thing. It's just so weird to me. But in the campaign though, it was a blast. So maybe that's this type of game. Who knows? But the crossplay is pretty awesome.
It's the big plus there. Yeah, I mean, if you're listening right now or you're listening to the podcast, or whatever, to me the big takeaway is the cross-platform play. So if you want to support cool things in gaming and you're kind of a fan of Gears of War, I think it's a good thing to throw your money into. At least it shows the devs and Microsoft that it's something that people are looking forward to or that they're going to use. So good stuff.
Exactly. All right, and I guess the last new release out this week, we're not even going to talk about. It's out for the PS4. It's Rise of the Tomb Raider, and it's basically the same game that came out last year, and now that year of exclusivity is up. So, welcome aboard, PS4 people. You should have bought them all. They're like Pokemons. Get all the consoles, and you're good to go. And I guess on that, why don't we hop on over into gaming news? First story!
All right, first story is near and dear to my heart. The Oculus Touch controller is going to cost way too much money. In fact, it'll cost you $200. Last week, during Oculus's Connect keynote address, Oculus chief Brendan Iribe announced that the unique-looking touch controller will go on sale in December, priced at a whopping $200 for the pair. Pre-orders will open up October 10th online at physical retailers, while the controllers will go on sale December 6th. People who pre-ordered get 2 free games, which is kind of cool. VR Sports Challenge and The Unspoken. Aribe also confirmed the Oculus Touch controller will offer room scale movement, which is kind of big news. But you will need to obviously buy a new sensor for that, which are priced at $80, bringing the total to $280 and making it seem a little odd that you didn't get a Vibe when you had a chance. The strange-looking circular touch is comprised of 2 controllers, one for each of your hands, obviously. Each has a traditional analog stick, 2 buttons, and an analog trigger, as well as haptic feedback and what Oculus calls hand trigger. Touch is also capable of tracking a set of finger poses and that work to recognize natural hand positions like pointing, waving, or giving the good old thumbs up, maybe even possibly the middle finger, because it probably should. The touch controllers were supposed to go on sale earlier. In fact, they were supposed to go on sale when it launched last year, but they were delayed to the end of 2015 and will be obviously released the second half of 2016. So, this is bad news to me. It's great. It's great that they're coming out.
It's just such a high price point for the
controller. Way too high.
And it's not even ready to use because you need to buy the other $80 thing to really get the full value.
To get the value, right. So it should have come with a sensor. I'll say that. $200, it should have come with the sensor, especially because all the people that have been backing Oculus for so long, that have purchased the Oculus instead of the Vive, to me, it would have been doing the right thing to give them what they've delayed for almost a year. Because really, I mean, I have an Oculus, as everyone knows. I have it sitting right next to me. I've been waiting for these controllers since I bought the Oculus the day it was released. My problem has always been that I felt like I didn't get the full product. Everyone, when they were intending to buy the Oculus, felt that the controllers were going to be a part of that purchase. And they weren't, which was okay, because it was a lower price point than the Vive. But the problem now is that it's actually more expensive than the Vive and probably not as good, realistically. No. So that's a big problem for me.
Because the Vive has had the full room VR since day one. It's had the hand controller things since day one. And the price difference was what, $100 or $150? $200. All right. So now you're talking $280 versus $200. Right. And this is more like a tack-on add-on versus something that was baked in from day one.
Yeah, and I mean, again, it would be, at this point, you would assume, as we all do in terms of hardware life cycle, as time goes on, things get cheaper. So for me to pay a premium of $80 on top of what I can get with the Vive is a little fucked up now that we're a year plus into the life cycle of the unit. Now, a lot of the people at Oculus are saying that this is a much better controller than the Vive controller, and that remains to be seen. It could be that this value is so much greater because the controllers are that much better. I don't know if that's necessarily the case. I mean, it's going to have to be a wait and see scenario, but I certainly still would feel that even if that is the case, at least the same cost would have made more sense. I mean, I just think it's an exorbitant amount of money to pay for what we probably should have had included in the package in the very beginning.
Yeah. Or if they had just bundled in that the other sensor right away, even if it wasn't used yet, knowing that this was coming later, that would have been the smarter move. And
exactly.
Their argument is probably like, not everyone's going to buy the controller. Well, no, really, if you're in for an arm, you're in for your leg too.
That's exactly right. I feel forced. I'll tell you this right now. I'm buying the controller. I'm going to spend $280. And the reason for that is exactly like you said. You're in the universe already. You're buying into that as a platform. You want to get the most out of your platform. If you're a gamer, and I would dare say most people that are buying the Oculus are serious about it because it's a lot of money. So you wouldn't put down the money if you weren't serious about the ecosystem, and you certainly wouldn't half-ass it at that price point. That's a type of gamer that really wants to experience something new and pay into that process. So it feels like a price gouge. It feels like you're taking advantage of the people that spent the money on an Oculus ahead of time, and really on faith, because Oculus was the first one. I mean, part of the reason my money went to Oculus and not to the Vive was simply from the fact that I felt like Palmer Luckey, I owed it to him in a way for really creating this entire genre. I mean, without him and without the backing of Facebook and everyone else, it would have never happened. So part of me was a loyalty buy. And this is kind of a piss in the face of loyalty. So I'm not the happiest camper. I was happy that they were coming out, not happy at the price point. Very disappointing. Very disappointing.
No, I absolutely agree. I think it's price gouging, and that's what it is. But.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Shit. All right.
Next story.
A pretty cool story. J.J. Abrams is hoping and praying that a Portal movie announcement might be coming out soon. So it was way back in 2013 that fan favorite producer J.J. Abrams and fan favorite developer Gabe Newell announced a joint partnership between Bad Robot and Valve, where the two would be working not only on game ideas together, but also films, namely Half-Life, which would be amazing, and a Portal movie. So since then, there has been very little developments on the projects, and they appear to be pretty much stuck in stasis, like the game's protagonist, Gordon Freeman, and Shell. Though Abrams said earlier this year that the pair were still in development, so I guess we're kind of waiting and seeing. But now, speaking to IGN, Abrams spoke about the process of meeting with writers who were fans of the games, but also revealed that an announcement for a Portal movie could happen soon. Quote, 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 which is a very Valve thing to say for J.J. Abrams. Quote, we have a meeting coming up next week with Valve. We're very active. I'm hoping, that there will be a Portal announcement fairly soon, he tells the outlet. Quote, we are having some really interesting discussions with writers. It's incredible when you talk to someone who just gets it. It's like, oh my God, it's really the seed for this incredible tree you're growing. God, it's the worst fucking quote ever. What a tool. It's still unclear who the writers on the project are, though one of Abrams' latest producerial Yeah, sure. Efforts. 10 Cloverfield Lane was directed by Dan Trachtenberg, who I'm a huge fan of, by the way, who rose to prominence after making the short film based on Portal. Dan Trachtenberg was a part of that podcast I used to listen to a long time ago, with the guys from Kevin Rose and Alex Albrecht, and yeah. So he actually kind of rose to fame there first. He was always trying to be like a director back in the day on his podcast. And he's really grown a lot since then. So that's a good pick.
That's where we get our next story from. That's stolen.
Yeah,
from
right.
My podcast that no longer exists.
Right. Yes. Exactly.
It's a dig thing.
Yes, that's a dig thing. Yeah. So what are your thoughts on this? I mean, it sounds pretty cool.
Well, one, you're right. That's the most J.J. Abrams quote ever. That's J.J.'s excited about everything. He's like,
he is.
That's right. I'm going out to breakfast today. I'm probably going to get some eggs and some bacon, and I might even have a side of toast with it. It's going to be phenomenal. And then, after that, we're going to go out and we're going to go take a walk. And like, he's J.J. Abrams. He can be excited about everything he does because he's.
But it sounds like toolish, but it's fine. Yes, because it's J.J.
But I'm pumped. Like, I remember that Portal short that came out that Trachtenberg did. It was awesome. And that's really what got everybody talking. They're like, oh my God, if just one person can put this together, imagine what a whole movie of Portal would be. Yeah. And that's what obviously spurred those talks back then with Gabe, and got the Half-Life movie in the works and this Portal thing. And it just at least hear that there's something going on, and it's not just that complete like, oh yeah, we have a partnership and we just let it fade away. No, they're obviously still working. They're meeting next week, and God, I hope that we see a Portal movie because that'd be super awesome.
I think that would be really cool. And in my opinion, like any sort of Portal movie, I think the one thing that would be scary about a Portal movie is that Portal in and of itself, like as a story, is pretty loose. It's not like there's like some deep, rich story there. There's like some markings of a possible narrative, but not much. The short works really well if anyone's ever seen it because it's a short. So the only thing I'm wondering is, can a 3-hour movie really hold Portal, or can Portal carry a 3-hour movie? That remains to be seen. So I think the writing would have to be exceptional, and the Portal pieces would almost have to be more of a backdrop to the movie itself. So, but I think it's a great idea. I just hope that, video game movies, as we all know, don't tend to work very well.
Yeah, some are better than others. Yeah.
Some are better than others. Yeah. And more recently, video game, I will say, movies are getting better. I think more time is going into the writing than just, sort of taking the game and shitting it onto a screen.
Yep.
So there is some hope there. But yeah, my only thing would be I hope it plays well in a 3-hour sort of cinema release. But yeah, definitely go check out the short if you haven't, because it's really cool.
On the upside, it's J.J. Abrams, and really anything he fucking touches turns to gold. Like
pretty much
from Alias, the TV show, to whatever the teeny bopper show he did before that was, Felicity, to the Star Wars movies, Star Trek movies, to obviously Cloverfield, 10 Cloverfield Lane, the movie with the, I want to say 8mm, but it's not. It's no, it is 8mm, right? Or is it
8mm?
Yeah. Yeah, so he whatever he touches turns to gold. He is phenomenal, and he treated Star Wars with such respect that you expect he's going to go in and treat. Obviously, he wouldn't have gotten this deal if he wasn't a big Portal fan, and
yeah,
we'll see what happens.
That could be good news. Yeah.
All right, next story.
All right, next story. The Inside soundtrack was created with a human skull. It's fucked up. Inside, the mysterious puzzle platformer by Playdead continues the dark and isolating tone of its predecessor, Limbo. Great game, by the way. Much of the game's atmosphere can be attributed to the soundtrack, which offers a beautiful yet haunting frame to the narrative. To nail this somber mood, composer and sound designer Martin Stig Anderson, turned to the human body. He found an old skull, yes, an actual skull, and played the game's score through it like an old school filter. The results were quite bad, but Anderson persisted. With a little post-processing, the final tracks were born. Quote, every time I start a new project, I really want to find some kind of distinctive original sound, Anderson told Gamasutra. Quote, not like a musical style, but more like a sound quality that you can associate with the project itself. I think it helps to create a sort of holistic whole experience. The human skull created an iconic signature, Anderson argues, which would have been difficult to replicate with music software alone. The teeth, for instance, made small vibrations that should sound, quote, unsettling but strangely familiar to the player. Overkill? Maybe, but Anderson says such a detour can be necessary to create something truly fucked up and fucked up.
Dude, that is
new and unique. Yeah, that's
this story actually came with a picture of it.
Oh, did it really?
Oh, it was like a skull, and it had like a speaker that he had like a speaker that he torn out of its enclosure and like mounted into the top of the skull, and he had the bottom of the skull was all mic'd, and it was like, that's just fucked up.
Sound guys are so fucking weird. Like, if you ever look at, especially gaming sound guys, if you look at like Halo and a bunch of other ones, like not even Marty per se did the composing and stuff, but a lot of like the weird sounds that get made, like what the aliens make, and like they do all sorts of fucked up shit to get those sounds. And you'd think like in the day and age of a computer, you don't need that anymore. But these guys do that. They will literally like bore out the asshole of a lion and put a microphone in it just to get a weird fucked up sound. Because that's what they do. Because they're fucking weird people.
Oh my God. This is taking that over the top.
This is obviously, this is the pinnacle of fucked up.
Yes.
But still, I would like to know where he got the skull. And like,
these are the questions, the hard hitting questions that no one is asking. How do you get a skull? And then how do you desecrate it by drilling a fucking speaker into it? Like,
that's really fucked up, right?
Yeah.
Like that's, I don't know. I mean, I don't even want to say it's cool. I was about to say it's cool, but I don't know that it is cool. I'm pretty sure it's not cool at all. Like maybe it's a fake skull, but I'm pretty sure the way this guy rolls, that's a real skull that he got from someone.
It's definitely been clear that because this story was on multiple outlets, and it's definitely a real skull. So, wow,
Derek, what do you think about this story?
Jay, this story has me saying, "What the fuck?" And that, why don't we hop it over the mailbag and voicemails? Altius asks, with the PlayStation VR arriving this week, how do you think it will affect the general population's opinions on virtual reality?
Yeah, this is good. I'm not a fan of PlayStation VR. As a VR owner, I would prefer that the powers that be, the gaming general, would view VR in the best light possible. I don't think the PlayStation VR does that. So having said that, though, I'm hoping that just the taste of VR from PS4 is enough to get people super hooked on it and maybe look outside of the PS4. I don't think that's necessarily going to happen, but if the PS4 creates this general acceptance of VR, then it's a good thing. And certainly once the PlayStation 4 comes out and has some relative power to really show off what VR can do, I think it'll get better. But no matter what, it's a good thing. No, it's a good thing. I mean, I just wish it wasn't the PS4 VR
coming
that was
as this add-on.
Yeah. It's a little disappointing, but
I agree too. And I guess the thing that eases my mind a little bit is maybe the PlayStation VR that we've tried at all these events was so early on, because this week all of the review sites have had their units in, from Giant Bomb to everybody else, and they're loving it, which is crazy. It's been getting solid marks, and no one's dinging on anything. I guess the closest thing to a ding would be that it still uses the Move controllers and the camera for some of the stuff, and they didn't change because they're the same Move controls. It just has that one little trigger and the thing on the back or whatever. But it seems to be doing well there, and I think the upside of this is because it's for the PlayStation, this thing is going to show up now in your Target on an end cap.
It's going to be everywhere.
It's going to be, yes. So that's going to probably help with the adoption of VR too. Whereas people that don't want to go out and spend money blindly are going to now have a chance to go somewhere that these people that don't go to E3, that don't go to PAX or any of these other events, now they can go somewhere local to them, try it out, and get that feel firsthand. And
it's at a low. The barrier to entry is very low. Yep. I would probably put it from when again, it could be better than when we originally tested. I would say that's probably not the case at this point. I could be wrong, but I would say it's about half as good looking as the Oculus.
Oh yeah, I would say that too.
And to me, it's a really wide gap. If you actually get a chance to use an Oculus and compare it to a PS4, I think you'll see almost instantly why that is. The upshot is that with the Scorpio coming out, there's the rumor, obviously, that Oculus will work on Scorpio. But the Oculus, as we've just discussed, is ridiculously expensive. So if you have enough money to go buy a brand new Scorpio and then on top of that spend $600, $700 on an Oculus, great. But that's still a very small amount of people that are actually going to be able to do such a thing. So it is awesome that Sony's at least putting their feet in, both feet in first, and really committing to VR, and not just that, but committing to VR sort of en masse. It's really going to be, I think, the biggest massive amount of possibility in terms of getting gamers on board. So for that, it's awesome. For that, it is really good. And maybe if you get hooked on it, you'll spend the money and get a better VR unit at some point. So,
but I think the other thing to think of here, though, is if someone hasn't experienced VR, the PlayStation VR is an amazing VR experience. Like for example, this year I've obviously used the Oculus, I've used the Vive, and I've used the PlayStation VR. This year at E3, Tiff and I had an appointment at this company that's doing this micro VR thing, which is this, like, it's basically an Android VR standalone headset, and that thing is the lowest end. And then but even that has its own cool aspects to it, and you just have to forget that you've seen something better to then go ahead and compare it against. So I think that people that have yet to experience VR or haven't experienced VR since, Lawnmower Man came out and arcades had that one VR game where you stood in the little safety ring and you wore the goggles and you turned and you shot and whatever. I think that for those people, this is going to be a huge, huge jump. And just having your local Best Buy and your local Target and Walmart or whatever is going to be huge for VR.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, overall, no matter what, it's a good thing. Gets VR out to the people more, and again, like it'll just breed more developer support. So the key here is that developers that are going to be developing for the PlayStation VR will almost certainly be developing for the Vive as well as the Oculus, and you'll get that great experience on those devices. So there is no reason this is a bad thing.
Yep.
So no matter what, feel free, go purchase your PlayStation VR. It only helps the actual industry. So I'm cool with that.
Yeah, and it's launching with a whole shitload of games.
A lot of
too,
titles,
so.
yeah, a lot of exclusives, which is cool for PlayStation. So yeah, it's all good news.
Do it up. All right. Well, if any of you awesome questions like Altius that actually get us thinking on our feet and talking, give us a call, 773-527-2961. Email us at podcast@tooltoplay.com. You could also comment to this episode's thread on the Tools to Play homepage. And sponsors. Remember, by supporting our sponsors, you help support Still Got Game. We got 2 sponsors tonight, same ones we have often. It's ThinkGeek, it's the Craft Beer Club. ThinkGeek is the place where you get all your cool geeky shit, whether it's caffeinated gum or cool Star Wars related shit or whatever. And you're going to go there anyway. We, like, between Tiff and myself, we probably spent thousands of dollars over the years at ThinkGeek. So if you're going to go spend money at ThinkGeek anyway, go to toolplay.com/geek and then shop at ThinkGeek, and you'll get the best possible deal that ThinkGeek is offering at the time, and it will help out the show. The Craft Beer Club. Everybody loves craft beer. People just might not know which ones to choose. They might not be in their area. So when you sign up for the Craft Beer Club, either for yourself or someone else, you give it as a gift. You can sign up for 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, a year, whatever you want the subscription to be. And every month they're going to get some craft beers delivered to them that are hand chosen. They're going to get some pint glasses with them. And the best possible deal you're going to get from the Craft Beer Club is going through tooltoplay.com/beer, and we'll give you their best possible deal at that moment. So tooltoplay.com/geek, tooltoplay.com/beer. Go there. Get some shit for yourself, get some shit for someone else, and help out the show at the same time. It's win-win. And if you want to sponsor us, give us a call, 773-527-2961. Email us at podcast@toolplay.com. You tell us what you're selling. You'll pass. You'll sell it. You pass. Boom. Done. And Twitter us up. You can find everything Tool to Play related at twitter.com/tool-to-play. Everything podcast related at twitter.com/still_got_game. I, king of the fucking internet, got of everything that's fucking holding at twitter.com/Derek Nolan.
You can find me at twitter.com/DudeIRock.
You also have twitter.com/Electrify and twitter.com/i6Hitman. Facebook the fuck out of us. Facebook.com/Tool2Play. Facebook.com/Derek Nolan.
Facebook.com/DudeIRock.
Facebook.com/Tiff Nolan and Facebook.com/i6Hitman. We also have a YouTube channel, youtube.com/Tool2Play. That's the place to find all of Tool to Play's archive video content, whether it's this show, whether it's immature interviews with Tiff, whether it's Thick and Thin with LB Duty and Hitman, whether it's you name it. It's all there. Everything that we do live eventually goes in the YouTube channel, and it's there for, it's like your infinite on-demand station for Tool to Play content. So go there, youtube.com/Tool2Play. Subscribe. You'll be notified whenever a new video goes up, or just browse through our back catalog of our vast back catalog of awesome content. Also, please rate and review this podcast in iTunes. We need some 5-star reviews. Just click the 5-star button. And if you are so inclined, you have an extra 20 seconds. Type a little something nice with it. Like, I love the show. They're awesome. Fucking best show I've ever seen. Best show I ever heard. Whatever you want to type, just type something to go along with your 5-star review. But we definitely need the 5 stars. It really helps us out because every time we reinvent the name of this podcast, we start over in iTunes for some dumb reason. And we definitely need to build those up. So please, just go there, take 2 seconds out of your day, give us 5 stars. It would mean a fuck of a lot to us. Also, we got a Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Tool2Play. That is where sometimes people come here and they watch us live. Sometimes they don't. Obviously, after a couple weeks off, tonight our live audience was really anticipating a non-show because nobody showed up, or very few people showed up. But that is where we do all of our live video content, whether it's game streaming or the shows like this. So on our Twitch channel, we have a couple buttons down at the bottom. We have one that says subscribe, and we have one that says follow. So definitely follow us. That costs you nothing. And you'll be notified whenever we go live, have something cool going on. But definitely click the follow button. The subscribe button is really the nuts and bolts. It's the mother load of buttons on this site. Because what happens when you click that subscribe button is for the smallest little fee, so small, you can help us out. So you go there, you subscribe, and you become one of the elite. You're like the super fan, and for the less than the price of a cup of coffee twice during a month. So in a single month, if you're gonna buy 2 cups of coffee, skip 2 of your 30 and subscribe to the show, and it helps us out. It gives money directly to us and shows that you care about the content we put out. So, like I said, subscribe if you can, follow if you must. And I guess before we wrap up, I want to remind you all, you can join us each and every Monday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, twitch.tv/tool2play. And on that, why don't we wrap this fucking awesome episode up? I am Derek D. Smooth Nolan.
And I am Joel Dude I Rock Albert.
Thanks for producing, Tiff.
Thanks, Tiff. Appreciate it.
Thanks for blowing us off, Hitman, on your fake Thanksgiving.